Hey everybody, this is Hurricane Hal with a Thursday evening update on Hurricane Delta. I'm installing a community flood information system, a network of flood meters throughout South Louisiana, and time is so precious. I'm fighting the daylight and every minute is very precious right now, so I can't even take time to record, so I'm going to record while I'm driving. But here, you don't have to look at me. I'll let you see what I'm seeing as I'm driving here in South Louisiana. I'm near Abbeville, Louisiana, and I want to update you on the forecast for Hurricane Delta and tell you a little bit about what I've seen on the ground here today. So Delta has strengthened into a major hurricane, Category 3, with the late afternoon National Hurricane Center advisory. Maximum winds are up to 115 miles an hour, and it's in such a favorable environment with light wind shear, really moist environment, and warm sea surface temperatures that the National Hurricane Center said that Delta may continue to increase in intensity and strengthen to a stronger Category 3 hurricane. Right now, max winds are forecast to get up to 125 miles an hour. Fortunately, Friday morning, the wind shear should increase from the southwest, and the water temperatures are cooler in the northern Gulf of Mexico. So therefore, Delta should weaken a little bit before it makes landfall, but the maximum winds could still be around 115 or so, which would make it a major hurricane on landfall here in southwest Louisiana. I'm just pulling into Abbeville right now. I was recently in Lake Arthur, Louisiana. We installed a flood meter in Lake Arthur this afternoon, and I learned a lot I met a local named John who's a civil engineer, who is a fascinating story. He knows his entire flood history for his whole city, or his whole town really. He has multiple generations there. He knew about the massive flood in 1940. He had a picture of that. He had a picture of Audrey in 1957. I love coming to these communities where people know their flood history and they use that for decision making. It's really encouraging. I wanted to share a little bit more about the forecast and then some things I saw on the ground. So what can we expect for storm surge? It looks to me that the National Hurricane Center forecast of 7 to 11 feet of storm surge look pretty in line with what you'd expect based on the deep history around this area. To the west of the storm track, getting into the upper Texas coast, I think we could see a 2 to 4 foot surge from High Island to Sabine Pass and Sabine Lake. Houston, Galveston, that area, Galveston Bay, I don't think we'll see the storm surge it did even during beta, but I think along the Gulf side with Galveston and Bolivar, I think we could see 1 to 3 feet of storm surge and saltwater levels that generally are similar, I think, to Hurricane Laura. The water will run up the beach there in Galveston to the dunes, and some minor flooding downtown. Here in South Louisiana, I think that Laura obviously was a stronger storm with a higher storm surge, but one of the things that really struck me today as I got out here and was driving around, when I travel around the country and work with hurricanes, generally I consider South Louisiana and the upper Texas coast to be some of the most resilient places and places where people are the most prepared for hurricanes. These places get a lot of hurricanes and the people are very well prepared. This afternoon in South Louisiana, what really hit me near Lake Charles area and areas really to the east of Lake Charles, there was a tremendous amount of debris piled up in front of people's homes. Some of these small communities, someone explained to me, they have limited resources, and they said that in their small town, a dump truck may pick up debris and take it to Jennings to drop off and wait in line for 3 hours to drop off a truck of debris. There was so much damage in southwest Louisiana from Hurricane Laura that is taking a lot of time to clear the debris. I saw a lot of piles of debris this afternoon, and my concern is that a lot of that debris goes airborne with hurricane force winds in Hurricane Delta. I talked to a nurse that actually owns a hotel as well, and she said that her hospital stayed operational in Lake Charles during Hurricane Laura, and 2 windows in the hallway shattered during the hurricane. So now their policy is absolutely to evacuate for this upcoming storm of Hurricane Delta. So some really interesting stories here. The other thing that really hit me driving around parts of Lake Charles and other places here in southwest Louisiana were the amount of tarps on roofs. You see a lot of blue tarp roofs, and you have to wonder, even though Delta's winds are not as strong as Laura, how well can a tarp hold up against 90 or 95 mile an hour winds in places like southwest Louisiana, after even when the winds move inland? Again, we could see sustained winds as high as 115, I think, on the coast. Inland, even if they drop to 75 or 80, how well can a blue tarp do with winds like that? So I am concerned that we'll see a lot of wind damage to structures that were previously damaged with Hurricane Laura. I'm in southwest Louisiana, not far from Abbeville. A lot of people don't realize there's a lot of farming in southwest Louisiana, predominantly sugarcane and rice in this area of the country. These are tough, resilient people, but it's really hard to see them take 2 hits in the same hurricane season. It looks like Delta's landfall location could be very similar to Laura's. So Hurricane Laura struck southwest Louisiana as an upper level category 4 hurricane in August, and here we are 6 weeks later with a category 3 bearing down on the same coastline. The last time that I can remember really back-to-back hurricane strikes in the same location in a year was 2004, where Hurricanes Francis and Jean made landfall in almost a similar spot between Palm Beach and Jupiter, Florida. It's pretty rare to have that, and so that's what we're looking at this year. I am going to stay on the ground here for 4 days to do some forecasting, some observations, but after that this weekend I really want to get into these communities, find out what's going on, what do people need, and how can we help them meet those needs. It's always important to help these folks get back on their feet as much as possible, and having 2 hurricane hits in 1 year is tough. Lastly, this community flood information system, what we're doing is deploying these flood meters that measure water depth, and we're calibrating everything to the same system. Often people are told that the water will be maybe 3 to 5 feet above normal, but what does that mean for me? How many feet above normal gets water in my house? That's what people care about, and we're doing right now, we're deploying these flood meters, converting everything to the same datum or the same system. And with that, when you purchase a house and get insurance, you will often get an elevation certificate that tells you how high your house is. The idea is to bring all of these into the same system with all of our flood observations. So if you evacuated, or if you have a vacation home on the coast and you're not there, if you hear what the local flood observation is, you should know if that flooded your house or not. That's my vision here, and our vision with CNC is always to be on the ground and doing really applicable work that helps people prepare for these disasters and recover afterwards. So unfortunately, I was not able to read any comments that y'all wrote. I'll try to check it out afterwards. And please let me know what your questions are. I want everything I do to be as applicable and relevant as possible. With CNC, we like to really be on social media. We like to be in the communities, and we really like to provide forecasts and guidance that helps people make better decisions. So I'll be over here until Sunday, and please don't forget the people here of Southwest Louisiana. They're not New Orleans, they're not Houston, so the media often passes them by, but these are our fellow American citizens and wonderful people taking 2 hits from 2 major hurricanes in the same year with a pandemic at the same time. It's a rough go here, and let's do everything we can to help these people out. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna sign off for now, but I'll be back later this evening, and I'll let you know what I'm seeing. I have not seen any wind damage or flood damage. The tropical storm force winds are still well off the coast. We're looking at a landfall time of probably later Friday afternoon or evening. This is Hurricane Hal in southwest Louisiana, south of Abbeville. I'll join you a little bit later this evening. If you have any questions for me, stay tuned to the CNC social media channels, and I'll do the best I can to update you with what I'm seeing here on the ground in southwest Louisiana.